Hey Neil, this is Renee with Metal and Metal. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. For anybody that's going to be listening, today I'm talking with the vocalist Neil Starr of the band Phil Campbell and the Bastards. Thanks for joining me today, and we're being able to talk about what's going on with y'all.
Yeah, no worries, man. Anytime.
Yeah. So first up, I mean, you probably get this asked pretty often, but how did you end up teaming up with Phil Campbell?
So, for those who don't know, the rest of the band, except for me, are Phil's sons. So there's three of his sons in the band, and basically I've known his sons for a while. And one of the sons was having a birthday party with a live band at the party, and they agreed for for the Campbells to get up and have a jam for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever. And they asked me to sing some songs, basically. And that was the first time we got on stage together as the five of us. And yeah, I think, well, obviously everyone really enjoyed it because we carried on doing it, But
Yeah.
yeah, that was kind of the start of it. It was totally unexpected and totally a bit random, but everyone enjoyed it, and we didn't really have any plans, obviously, to write original music. But then, when Motorhead sadly ended after the death of Lemmy, Phil took some time out, but then decided he did want to carry on,
Yeah.
Play music. And at that point, it was decided that we would, write our own music rather than just playing cover songs, which, and Motorhead songs like we were before that.
Right. And so this new album that you have is titled "We're the Bastards." This is your second, full length, but you did also have a initial EP that come out. For yourself, how do you feel that the music has evolved from the EP from the last album and until this new album coming out?
I think the main difference for us is that we kind of now we kind of have a like we know what kind of stuff the fans may want to hear. And before, when we started writing the music to start with, that was totally unknown to us what people would like. Because with the first album, for example, there's a couple of songs on there that are a little bit slower, a little bit more bluesy than your sort of faster punk rock and roll stuff. So we weren't sure if those songs were gonna work with our fan base, but we had really good feedback from those slower, bluesier songs when we released the album. So I guess, coming into the second album, we knew that we could write songs like that if we wanted to. And I guess we're just trying, kind of figuring ourselves out a little bit now as an original band, because before, like I said, we were just doing covers and things. So, and yeah, it was important not to sort of try and copy a certain style. Obviously, with Phil being in Motorhead for 30 odd years, a lot of our riffs are gonna resemble Motorhead stuff because he wrote riffs in Motorhead and he writes riffs in our band. So there's gonna be songs that definitely you can compare and can say they sound like Motorhead stuff. But we have the freedom as well now to do things a little bit differently, I think, as well. Not just have to stick to one kind of straight genre, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, of course. It's going to be nice to be able to kind of broaden your horizons and then dip your toes into different genres.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess that's a little bit liberating for Phil too. I mean, obviously he's not here for us to ask him, but
Right.
he with Motorhead, I guess they had a certain remit they had to fulfill for their fans, because people would expect a certain thing from Motorhead. But like, I know that he definitely likes the fact that we all can write music for this band, because I know he would quite often people would look at him in Motorhead to be like, come on, where's the riffs, So in this
Right.
band, he has a bit more support, I guess, for people bringing riffs in as well. So
Yeah. Well, that's got to be nice too to kind of just sit back a little bit, and not,
yeah,
yeah. For sure. Now, were these songs written before you came into the studio, or were all this stuff done in the studio?
So everything was written um, on. But if I break it down a little bit, lyrically and vocal melody wise, before the lockdown, there wasn't anything really written. But the guys had been working on music. Um, we always planned on doing an album, regardless of what's happened. With COVID-19.
Yeah.
So the plan was to do an album anyway. Um, but it just so happened that like at the time when I was going to join them in the studio to start working on melodies and lyrics, that's when the lockdown kind of happened. So I wrote all my parts in my house pretty much during the lockdown. So, but the music, a lot of it had been written before that.
Yeah. Now, you know, having the COVID and quarantine and all that has kind of been, a blessing, but also, of course, a hindrance too. One of the things would be for musicians, they're able to kind of take your time writing songs. Now, where was this? Did you kind of feel that this time around with this new album, or it was just the same old business as usual coming in with this album?
Well, I think for us, because it happened so at the very start of all this lockdown stuff, I don't think it felt any different because we were still aiming to have the album done by June anyway. That was always the plan,
Yeah.
regardless of everything else, because we wanted to release an album before the end of 2020. So we kind of had our own deadlines and our own objectives. And obviously, the longer this goes on, though, I can definitely feel like people will obviously be writing a lot more than they would normally because they have more time now. Speaking from personal experience as a musician, all this time that I would have spent touring this summer and this autumn and this winter, it's going to be time we could choose to sit down and write more stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I did the album, so I have been productive from that point of view, but I haven't really spent a lot of time since finishing the album working on anything new music wise. So maybe that's because our album's coming out and my focus is kind of on just preparing for that and gearing up to promote that to everybody and let that stuff come out and hear everyone's feedback before we kick into something and start writing new stuff again. But I guess like many bands, come the start of 2021, hopefully we'll know a little bit more about when live shows can take place again, and if they are a way off, then yeah, it will give us and loads of other musicians the opportunity to just keep writing, because you got to try and use the time and the opportunity to do something creative and positive, and you can't just. It's too easy just to sit around and complain about the fact we can't gig, but at the end of the day, there's hundreds of thousands, millions of people like us who can't do it, so we just got to try and stay positive and focus on the things we can do. But it's definitely a challenging time, not just for us, but for every person on the planet, I guess. But yeah, from our point of view in music, it's definitely a challenging time.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like everything that's not only musicians, but even everything that happens in the background has kind of just has taken a big hit. Now
That's a huge part of it as well. Like it's easy for me to say, because I see it when we're touring, but there's so many factors that go into all of this stuff. It's not just obviously yourself, but some people may not realize how much goes in behind the scenes from people who operate lighting, do the sound, run the tour buses, do the tour managing, do the merchandise. There's so many different branches to the tree.
Yes.
Obviously, we get most of the accolades as the people on stage, but this, we know it. Well, Motorhead wrote a song about it, right?
Yeah.
About the road crew. They know the importance of it, and I think a lot of people in our fan base get that, especially because they're a lot of them are Motorhead fans, so they know about the love that band had for their crew and how loyal they were and stuff. So yeah, people get it, but it's just difficult for those people as well to, what are they doing now? I know that the people close to us are struggling. and there's just no end in sight, which I think is the worst part. You know, people can't actually think if I get to this date I'll be okay, because it keeps getting extended. At least it does in the UK. Everything's getting extended. So.
Right. Yeah, that's an unfortunate thing to where that right now we have no end in sight until hopefully there's a vaccine created that actually works. That's
Yeah.
one of the unfortunate things. Now, although I have seen some places, some countries slowly starting to open up and allowing some venues to have bands play. Are you close to any of those venues to maybe venture out and see somebody play?
I think the closest thing we're likely to get to anytime soon is maybe a live stream or something, But
Yeah.
again, I mean, a lot of people are doing those, so it's difficult to know what to do for the best. There's definitely nothing near us that's feasible for us. No, unfortunately. I think our next scheduled live concert in front of people is in April 2021. Everything else has got moved.
Yeah.
Even the stuff we had in January and February and March has been moved already. So yeah, it's keep your fingers crossed time and hope that those ones in April can go ahead. I don't think anything else will happen for us before then.
Right. Now, talking about music, you also released a single a few weeks back for "Son of a Gun." From what you've heard from yourself, or maybe your representatives, how has the response been from the fans so far?
Really good, yeah, really good. I mean, we chose that song as the opener. It's not the album opener, but the opening track to play people from the album, just because it's kind of got that energy that I think people will expect from Phil Campbell.
Yeah.
And it's a short, punchy song, and yeah, so we were fairly. I mean, we're really confident for the whole album that people enjoy, but we were really confident that people would like that track anyway, because it's short and punchy and plenty of energy, and it's gone down really well.
Yeah.
We're really pleased with how people have responded to it, and it was obviously a bit different. Shooting the music video for it was different again because of the situation we're in. We couldn't actually do a video, all of us in the same place. So we did actually film it in the same location, but at different times.
Yeah.
Because of the social distancing. So that was the first socially distanced video.
Right.
Adapted to the times.
Yeah. Now, before you release a song, I mean, this one has been the first one off of this new album. But does the band ever think it's like, is whether if the fans are going to respond really well to it, or do you feel more confident? It's like, this is what, the band consists of, and we're positive with our sound, and we write music that we love, and this is what we want to give the fans?
Well, for us, it's always been a case of, first and foremost, let's write music that we really like to listen to and really like to play live. I mean, a lot of it for us is about making sure it's a song that will translate in a live setting. We'd never really been the kind of band who want to create songs and things that aren't going to be feasible for us to pull off live as well. So
right.
So we're kind of, I don't have confidence in the word, but we're kind of hopeful that if people like the first album, then we think we've written another really good album. So we're quietly confident, I suppose, that people will like it, because we haven't tried anything crazy and gone in a completely different direction or anything like that. We're still just writing music that's passionate and energetic, and also a little bit diverse in some areas of the album. With some changing tempos and trying to make it a bit more of an enjoyable listen than being 13 tracks that sound the same,
right.
So yeah, I mean, I was listening back to it today. I haven't listened to it for a while, but I really loved it when I heard it today. So that's always a good sign. I haven't probably listened to it for over a month now. I try not to listen to it too much, which is the hardest part once you've recorded it, because you don't want to overplay it before it even comes out in your
right.
mind. But
right.
Yeah, it still sounds cool to me. I'm still really pleased with what we've done, and hoping that everyone will or the majority of people, because you can't please everybody, of course. But
Right.
if people like the first album, I'm really hoping that they'll also like this one.
Yeah, for sure. Now, one of the obvious things that there's no way, you know, to get around is having the legendary Phil Campbell being part of the band. I mean, I would think that it would be a little bit of intimidating, especially when it comes down to the writing process and contributing to music. How do you go about when you have an idea? I mean, do you feel pretty comfortable to where everybody's going to be receptive to your ideas for making music?
Honestly, yes, and that's purely down to his attitude. Because I guess he makes it possible for me to feel that way. Like he's a really super laid back, friendly, nice person. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. It could easily be the other way. It depends who the person you're working with is. Like he could easily have an ego. He probably deserves to have one because what he's done over the years and the band and the albums he's written and everything that Motorhead achieved. But honestly, he makes it really laid back. He's always, said to me that he backs my judgment on stuff. So I mean, ultimately, if I do something, I'm sure if he didn't like it, he'd tell me at the end of the day. He wouldn't just let it go to be nice. But like, he's always very supportive and said, kind of, he'll trust me in my lyrical direction and things. So that's a really nice place to be, because I guess that would make my life 10 times harder if I was having to think in the back of my mind, is he gonna like this? Is this good enough? I think you've got to just trust your own ability and your own creativity, because otherwise it becomes a bad job, I guess. Then for you, you don't
Right.
It's like any job. You want to be working in a job you love, and I do. I don't feel any unnecessary pressure from anybody in the band. They're all really cool about it, and I kind of feel like I've got the easy job, honestly, because they're sending me this music, this class. I listen to the riffs they send me, and I'm like, sometimes I just have to sit there and think, shit, this is like the band I'm in. Like, this music sounds awesome, and I get the nice job of having to write some melodies and words over this now. It's kind of a pinch your moment situation sometimes with some of it.
Yeah, for sure. And and just in general in the music industry, that happens to be like one of the main things to where a band will make it together or it falls apart, to where if everybody's open to each other's ideas usually and have the same goal, they usually can be successful, as opposed to you have that one person that is just like, it's my way and nobody else's way.
Yeah, that must be difficult. And don't get me wrong. I mean, at the end of the day, if we write something and Phil doesn't like it, then that's going to be how it is.
Right.
But he's never going to say he doesn't like something just because he didn't write it. He's definitely a team player. He wants the same. We've all got the same goals, basically. We want a great sounding song. We want a great sounding album. And he's only going to say he doesn't like something if he genuinely thinks it isn't any good. And the same goes for everyone else in the band. Because especially they're all brothers, so I don't think any of them are afraid to say it as it is.
Right.
Because I guess they've been growing up together all their lives and had arguments over all sorts of things, I'm sure. So yeah, it's obviously a unique setup, because there's not too many other bands I can think of where like 4 out of 5 members are all that close, family wise.
Right, for sure.
And luckily for me, I'm made to feel like part of the family too, which is nice.
Yeah, maybe they'll adopt you then.
Yeah. Oh God.
That would be crazy.
I don't know. I kind of like it as it is, because I can stay away from any family arguments.
Right.
Then, I get the best of both worlds again, I think.
Exactly, and then having this awesome music to sing over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Very cool. So you mentioned some of the things that you were doing, on keeping busy, about trying to promote the new album. How else are you kind of occupying your time to where you don't go crazy? Because as musicians, you're either writing music or you're touring. So right now it's got to be pretty rough for you.
Yeah, I mean, because we had probably the busiest summer we've ever had planned. We had countless numbers of festivals. I think right now I should be in Europe, in Scandinavia, like Sweden and Norway, places like that was where we should be touring right now.
Yeah.
And we moved the UK tour that was coming, coinciding with the album release. And I mean, for me, luckily I've got a couple of kids myself, so they keep me pretty entertained. And again, if you're looking at things in a positive light rather than a negative one, I get to spend way more time with them than I would have, which, that's definitely a nice thing to replace losing what we've lost, So, yeah, that's been one of the blessings of all this for me, is that I've got to spend a lot more time with my family. So, that's one thing that's keeping me personally going. And, we just got to stay focused then and believe that things can go back to some kind of normal with music, because musicians need it. I think fans definitely need it. I'm a fan as well as a musician, and I miss seeing live bands as well. And it's great the bands can still write music and release music, because that keeps us going in the interim. But for me personally, nothing beats seeing your favorite band live.
Right. Yeah, it's a big hole missing part of your life. Like, I mean, other besides work and family stuff like that, like the rest of my calendar is like planned on going to concerts and doing those things.
So there's a huge hole in yours. There's so many of us in the same boat. And for me, it's good. Again, it's great that people are trying these things with live streams and things, but for me, it just doesn't get anywhere near.
Right.
What you get from actually being in that same room as the person, and just the atmosphere and the heat and just everything about it, the smell probably.
Oh yeah.
You can't recreate that stuff through your computer. So.
No, for sure.
But again, hats off to everyone who's trying, because people have got to try and do things, like you said earlier, to keep yourself sane. Not everyone's in the same position as me to have people around me. Like, there's people going through this and they're just in houses on their own. It must be so difficult to do. And
yeah.
So yeah, hats off to everyone who's trying different things and getting creative, because I know it's obviously helping people. So
yeah, you got to keep going. I know, as musicians, sometimes y'all hear it every now and then, but as fans, that kind of helps us get through the day of listening to the music. Whether if it's a live stream or the new albums coming out, that kind of keeps us going in the interim until we can actually finally see y'all live.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I guess we were lucky that we could still go ahead with the album recording process, because I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but we recorded the album with our guitarist, was the producer. So he has a studio very close to where we all live, and luckily we all live in the same area, so we were able to do this album. I mean, if we'd lived in different countries, or we're going with a different producer in a different country, we probably would have had to cancel plans, because you couldn't travel, obviously, with the lockdown and everything. So we were lucky that we could still actually get in the studio and do the album as planned. So yeah, that was also a blessing for us.
Yeah, heck yeah. So almost getting to the conclusion of our interview, other than purchasing the new album, which comes out November 13th, how can fans kind of support the band right now?
Simple things, really. Just send us messages. Support's always good, Keep in touch with other fans and keep each other going. I think that's the key to all of this, Like, we all have our good days and bad days, so if you send someone a message, us as a band, if you get messages from fans, that really, makes our day. To see people taking time to message us, and and if just little things like sharing the music, if there's a video comes out, share the link and spread the word, because that always helps a huge amount.
Yeah.
It's obviously difficult for us to reach people any other way now. Social media is kind of the only way we're gonna reach people right now, because we can't do festivals, which is a really good one for us, because we can go out and play to tens of thousands of people, and a lot of those people may not have heard us before, so we can make new fans and things that way. But right now, obviously, we can't do that. So yeah, sharing the music and telling your friends about it, and and just in general, just talking to each other and keeping everyone going. That's, I think, what it's all about, really.
Yeah. And then for of course, fans, you hit it right on the nails. It's share it as much as possible because it doesn't cost anything to share it, and it'll reach so many other people.
Oh, it makes a huge difference. Even liking posts and things like that. It all helps with the social media stuff.
Yeah. For sure.
So yeah, and I guess without going into slagging any particular organizations off, but some of the social media sites make it difficult to reach fans now.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Without paying. So
yeah,
it's the more we can do, and the more help we can get from people doing things like you said that don't actually cost money. Obviously, it takes a little bit of time to do, but it doesn't cost anyone any money. Then that helps the band out greatly, definitely. And yeah, just let's just try and keep going and get to a point where we can actually do some live shows again, and we'll look forward to playing these songs live for the first time too.
Yeah, heck yeah. Well, Neil, we're concluding our interview. I want to thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Of course. I wish you the best on release day. I mean, I've listened to the album. You're right. It's upbeat. It's some of the songs are fast, and you got a little bit of variation, but it's a great rock album.
Thank you, man. It means a lot. Really does.
All right. Well, thanks, Neil. You have a great day. Appreciate it.
And you, man. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye.
Bye.